You are disillusioned, if that's what you're going through. If you think the church is evil, if you think everyone in there is evil, everyone's hypocrites, everyone's bad, yada, 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 you are the one with the problem right now, okay? Is there some truth in what you're saying? Sure, but you are blinded to a truth. You can't see the other truth. You can't see the greater truth that they are God's people and beloved by God, and He is involved in their life. They are invoking Him, and He is actively working and participating with them and to help draw them closer to Him. And that's the activation that God wants to get you activated in, to be in that work in His church and also outside the church. But can I just tell you, God wants you to love the church. If you have a problem with the church, you have a problem with God. Let me say that again. You know, right now, this is the thing. If you have a problem with church, you're making excuses, saying, well, it's okay, yeah, but they got this, 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 and that. I understand. The problem is that we're not fully understanding. When I say we, I mean you who are dealing with that, because I've dealt with that already, all right? And so I understand these feelings and emotions, that we're not fully understanding God's great depth of love for His church. We're not fully understanding that all of us have that same faltering that we can do, that iniquity that we're born into. And yet it's only by God's grace that we keep going, and we can tap in and be part of God's grace for other people. But what happens then sometimes when we are looking bad or think our circumstances look bad, we look bad upon ourselves. And then as that process keeps going, as we look down ourselves, we start looking down everybody else. So the real question is, if you're disillusioned with everybody, could it be that you're disillusioned with yourself? Disillusioned with where you're at in life right now, where you're at with your spiritual walk, where you're at with what God's doing in your life? Perhaps you can't see it or don't know what it is, and therefore everything is just kind of blurred. So you're staying, it's kind of like when you get dizzy, you just don't know what to do and you just stand still. God wants to help bring and take away that cloud of confusion and bring a focus back into your life. Now, I mentioned that I want to talk about Paul here, and Paul was someone that went through a lot of stuff. I mean, I think we can all clearly say that Paul was probably the greatest apostle in the Bible. I mean, he wrote, 2/3 of the New Testament. He went about doing so many good things, building so many churches. The church we know today was really built by Paul. Paul was sent to the Gentiles. Peter was the first one to break through to the Gentiles, but Paul was the one that opened it up and really brought it to the light. Okay, now, Paul was first and is a Jew, right? And then he all of a sudden converted to Christianity, and now he went. Now, the thing is that when he converted, it was really rough. He was rejected for a little while because he was out killing Christians before, so people didn't trust him. That's difficult. Don't you want to quit right there when all of a sudden you've had a turnaround in your life? Okay? And now you're doing good, you're trying to do good, and now people are doubting you every step of the way. Does that feel good? Does that appear like you're succeeding at that point in time? Here's the thing, you cannot go by what man is saying. You cannot go by man's doubts nor man's praises. You know, I've heard this term and I quite grow fond of it, that the rejection of man is an inoculation to the praise of man. Church, you need to be rejected by man. All right, let me just say it again, you need to be rejected by men so that when the praise of man comes your way, you're not swayed by that. You're not swayed by the praise of man. We cannot be swayed by the praise or the rejection of mankind. We need to be swayed by what God is saying and what He's doing, all right? That's what true security is. If you're an insecure person, it's because we're not rooted and grounded in God's love to know what He says about us and what He's thinking about us. Now, you might say, oh, well, that's naive and yada, yada. Here's the thing, I don't care. I don't care what anyone thinks anymore because I know now what God is saying and what God's doing. Now, I do care for your benefit.